Back over again. Okay, the time is 5 o'clock. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand with me for that. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for being here tonight. We have a full house again. That's always good to see. And we have a lot to cover tonight. So let's get right into it, starting with public comments. Do we have any public comments in the room? Please limit your time to 3 minutes and state your name and where you live for the record. Okay, here no public comment in the room. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Hearing none on Zoom, we will get right into our agenda items then, beginning.
I had some public comment, but I couldn't get my hand up. Sorry about that. So this is Marty Hall. I live here in Columbia County. I'm a commissioner here as well. And so I wanted to comment on the proposed sale of the railroad. And I just wanted to say that I think it would be a disservice to our community and certainly to the infrastructure of our community to sell that railroad. And it's just, I read the rail report that was Shane sent me a copy of it. I'm not sure when it was published, but I think to sell it for that much less than its appraised value is also very, very concerning to me. I realize that the threat of the Lower Snake River Dam's removal seems minimized now, but it is a very real threat and has been for 30 years, and they'll keep threatening it until they're successful. And when that happens, if and when that happens, that maintaining and owning that corridor that railroad sits on is absolutely crucial. I just don't see a way around saying that. It is absolutely crucial that we maintain and own that corridor. You know, the railroad can be rebuilt and all of that stuff that's on it, but we could never get that right of way purchased again. We'll never be able to put that together if we let it get away. So if the board deems it absolutely necessary to sell the railroad, please have verbiage in there that we still own the corridor and we have the right to keep that corridor. So that's my comment, and I'm speaking not as the Board of Commissioners. I'm speaking as a citizen and a commissioner, but I'm not speaking for the board as a whole. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? I'll wait a little bit longer this time, give you a little bit better opportunity.
I have a question, if I may.
Yes.
In the Port Strategic Plan for the railroad.
Can you state your name, please?
My name's Charles Bellany. I live at 112 Horse Show Lane in Dayton. And what is the port's in the strategic plan? What's the plan for maintenance of the railroad long term? Because is it addressed in the long-term strategic plan?
It's available on our website for you to review. I'd have to look into it.
Because it's going to have to be maintained more than it is, where it can carry heavier loads, go higher speeds. Because I talked to the engineer who actually ran the train 2 years ago, and he said because of the status of the rail, they can't haul the type of loads that they need to haul on it. And they also can't go at the speeds that they would like to go. So that's my question.
Appreciate
If you're gonna keep it, you need to do a good job maintaining it, and I don't know if the port has that kind of money.
for you, but go ahead.
Jacob Horseman. I live down the Toucan River, been in Columbia County 8 years now. I work for Northwest Grain Growers. Again, I'm not speaking for Northwest Grain Growers, speaking for myself here, but I believe I echo Marty's comments about the port does, Port Commissioner do deem the railroad as a sellable asset, maintaining that corridor. I think Paul even brought it up that there's a potentially, you own the tracks and the ties, but we keep the corridor because having a corridor through that is invaluable. Knowing the highway projects up in Moscow, Idaho, how long it took to get that corridor up there put through, and knowing the project on Highway 12 going to from Walla Walla over towards Pasco has been a nightmare trying to get that project through as well. So maintaining that corridor, if the port absolutely deems it necessary to sell the railroad, which I still think is a mistake. Maintaining the land underneath it is gonna be crucial in the future because of technology and the way technology is going in the future, whether it's fiber optics. The sewer line, various other things that corridor could in fact help us with, because it's 100 foot, correct me if I'm wrong, but 100 foot right of way corridor. That is invaluable, whether it is rail line or not. Because the railroad could decide that they want to tear it up, but then if we still own it, there's a potential to use it for other purposes too, you know, it is just for communication lines going through it and nothing else on top of it, where you just spray weeds. But having that communication line for the future is valuable in my opinion. So again, that's just me speaking from a personal point of view, towards the corridor.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Oh,
Fred Crowe, 309 North Second Street, Dayton. I think selling it for a cheap value, far less than its appraised value, is just giving money to the person who buys it, because he could resell it for many times what the purchase price that I understand it is offering, or he could borrow against it many times over, basically for free. I think that's somehow wrong.
thank you.
Laura Ackman, 300 South First Street. I forgive me for not being completely up to date on all of the information. I know y'all have talked about this in depth. I've been at several and witnessed several meetings where it's been discussed, but I know there's so much to it that there's a lot I don't know. My biggest concern is if we can't afford to maintain something that's falling apart, are there any other options? And in light of nationally what's going on, grants may not be the answer, which they shouldn't. Grants shouldn't always be the answer anyway. But my biggest concern is, what good is something if we can't maintain it? What good is my house if the roof falls in and the walls fall down and I can't take care of it? What good is it? So I just have some concerns as a citizen in regards to that, because I do understand it's very expensive to repair and maintain. So and I know those are things y'all have talked about. I'm not sure where we are on that, but that's a big concern.
Thank you. Right.
Yes, I would like to speak. This is Skip Mead calling in. I would like to speak.
I'm skipping.
Go ahead, Skip.
Yeah, hello. Good evening. Yeah. So I have some statements regarding the proposed sale of the railroad. And for starters, I am absolutely not in favor of selling this asset, especially at such a remarkably depreciated price. But I have a question for you. Where is the pro and con list that was proposed months ago that would help us assist in a town hall meeting? Well, what happened to our plan of action? Would anybody care to answer to that?
Skip, we've just got the rail report. It's been published on the website and we got hard copies last Friday. It's not necessarily a pro and a con, it's all the questions that were asked and we asked that the staff and our attorney answered. So we're in that process right now, just going through those answers from the questions. Okay. So
all right.
At least
well, I was at those meetings. Is my understanding that they were just working on this list. It wasn't waiting for this study to come out. We were just waiting for it. And I want to make certain that all the stakeholders have a chance to go through that question answer scenario that you have before the town hall meeting. You know, we spoke of that too, as far as the involved players. Anyway, a couple other comments, and it'll be short. I would say the conditions of the lease, and I think it was already addressed earlier as far as the grants for upkeep and maintenance. Gosh, that's how you keep the rent so inexpensive is what I understand, is that the assumption was that they could get these grants and be able to keep it running, and that was why the cost of the lease was so inexpensive. I also very much support Marty's statements that that corridor would be absolutely impossible to get back into shape or own again, ever. And then the dam question is not gone, it's just on hold for a moment. So don't be fooled into thinking that the dam issue's gone. So those are my comments, and I would sure hope there's going to be lots of opportunity to speak towards the ability to try to get our voice in to not sell that railroad. So thanks.
Here. And Jenny, you said that this is
Again.
available. One moment, I'm just addressing something from that last comment. This is available on our website.
Yes, this is on our website, and what it is a 31-page report. There are copies of the report right there, paper copies, but there's about 300 pages of attachments. And that's because there's supporting documentation. It's a copy of the operator's lease, a copy of, all the things, the emails from the operator offering a price, a copy of our comp plan, a copy of minutes and resolutions when the line was donated to the port in 1996. Let's see, the rail operators' performance reports for the last 4 years. Case law regarding selling, when selling something under appraised value has not gone well for a government. The list of rail upgrades that were proposed by, or not proposed, cost estimate from several years ago from a consultant that we hired, sample resolutions that govern the sale of public assets, sales data for other rail line land the port has sold over the years, little bits and pieces of siding that we may have sold over the years, and a map of the port-owned tracks and so on. Also in the report is a list of the grants that the port, I think all of them were the port except one that the rail operator applied for, but that we have received to upgrade the line over the last 15 years. There has been over $3 million put into it over the last 15 years. And I would be recommend just be careful about saying it's a mess and, it's not, it's operable. It's an operable rail line. So anyway, yeah, that's what's there.
So that'll be said, that should
Yeah.
give people ample time to be able to.
Yes.
To look at this and review the answers and.
Yep, it's all on there.
And whatnot. So now we'll get to you.
Again,
Thank you for waiting.
Skip's out there somewhere. These
Yeah,
folks, the questions that you've had,
Thank you.
I think
Thank you for that.
addressed in the rail report. I've been through it at least one time. I did once already. Chuck Ketter.
Sorry, Chuck.
Anyway, and to further expand on what Chip has said, any public hearing we have, I think it would be advisable and probably in your plans. There's no date been mentioned. But I think it certainly would be advisable to wait at least till a lot of the stockholders have been through harvest, which is sometime next month, probably before they really finish up. And those folks certainly have an opportunity to be heard.
Very good.
I just have one comment just to address the maintenance side real quick. I know I spoke before Jake Forsman again. If we live in a small county and the railroad's right there, so we see it all the time, but if you go and drive just north of here to look at other railroads that the state owns, they're in very similar condition. They're operable, 10-mile-an-hour speed limits, very similar condition to ours. So ours is, even though it doesn't look like the fancy ones on the main lines, it is very similar condition to other short lines in the area. So it's not totally, yes, it does need work still, lots of work. It can be improved greatly to be 25-mile-an-hour track. But there are very many short lines in the state that are only 10-mile-an-hour track that are used way heavier than ours, way heavier. So to echo Jenny's comments, the money we put into it has made it operable still to the point where it is still, we could, as Northwest Grain Growers, could run lots more cars on it if the UP would play ball a little better at Port of, or the junction down Waterloo. Just some more comments to add to it. The that, I don't know if it says that in the rail report, but there are similar railroads, like I said, just north of us, the Hooper line, a couple lines like that look very similar to ours, and I've been on those. And state legislatures have seen that too, exactly, so we brought them out before, so. It's just a comment to add to it, it's context.
Thank you. Anybody else? Are you sure? Okay, we'll get into our agenda then, beginning with administrative items and approving of the minutes. Has the commission had opportunity to review the minutes from last month's meeting?
I have.
Yeah,
Yes, I have.
thank you, commissioners. Do we have a motion to approve those minutes as written?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve those minutes as written.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from last month's meeting. Those in favor, respond by saying aye.
I,
Minutes are approved.
Ready for signing?
So moving on to our monthly budget report and vouchers. On the voucher sheet, is there anything exciting we need to know about?
Exciting? That's a different way for me to look at it. Not particularly. The Process Protection Incorporated, which is $4,000, that's a strange vendor name. That is the, what was it called, you guys? The dirt. It has to do with the craft malt facility and the dirt, the ventilation system, a study about ventilation for the building. So I am not using the right words for that, but so that was a subcontractor for that. We had some food stock, Stevens Media Group and Telet Media were both food stock advertising. Urban Patterns, of course, is craft malt. Wawa Electric, we did have to spend a couple thousand on the solar panels at Blue Mountain Station. And we will be submitting that to Pacific Power because it was, we believe, the damage caused by a surge. So we're gonna submit that for reimbursement and see what happens. But nothing else very exciting unless you have questions on that. Same with the budget report. Yeah. So unless you have questions, I don't have anything unusual.
No questions from me.
Oh, did the insurance, endurance, yeah, it was less than budgeted, you guys. Our insurance went down.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I have that deal for my
I
insurance.
The only thing I can think of is that the claim we had from 2017 at the marina with all that ice damage, maybe made the rates go up and they went back down. I don't know. I was stunned. So very, very, yeah, exactly. We pay, just so y'all know, we pay this one $74,000 a year in property insurance and liability, mostly property. We own a lot of buildings.
We need to sign off on those.
Oh, yeah, there's the voucher sheet. And talk about that in the marina report. See what that's such.
Tracy, I'll come see you for any signatures on Monday.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Okay, do we have any leases this month?
We don't have any this month.
Okay, easy. Now, considering a change of the date for the September 10th scheduled meeting.
I'll speak to that. I'm going to be at the Pendleton Roundup that I got at a bargain deal through I can't remember which auction that was. The
Chamber auction.
Chamber auction. And that was the day we could go. If we could hold it the day before or the day after, I would certainly appreciate it.
Well, I don't particularly object to changing the date. I'd rather have people here than absent, so if we can accommodate that, that would be fine with me. Commissioner Watts, what's your schedule like for September?
Let's see. Unfortunately, I have an audit that week that I have to do. So it really doesn't matter what day. It just means that I will not be present in the office there, but I can still make the meeting. So I'm okay with switching it. Just know that I won't, I will be out of town.
All right. Understandable. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do the Tuesday prior,
Very good.
The ninth,
the ninth?
that'd be perfect. Thank you.
That works for me.
Appreciate it very much.
Everyone take note.
Okay, moving on to update of port assets, beginning with Rockville Industrial Park.
Okay, not much going on in the industrial park, just a couple of, calls on, what did we do, just a broken fan in a bathroom and a GFI that was bad, so it's been a low maintenance month here, which is good. And no changes in, tenants. We are, starting to advertise that, larger space down at the co-working building that the artist was in. So that's been put out now for potential lease. So that's it for the industrial park. Nothing new.
Okay, thank you. Lions Ferry Marina.
Okay, so, the Columbia Park mortgages that I had you write the check for last month, we have opted not to purchase those docks. The difficulty was, part of the difficulty was in getting them shipped, whether it was coming up the river or by truck. And, we had a company that was doing, two companies that were doing estimates for us, and one of them that was doing the estimate was the same company that was there dismantling on behalf of Columbia Park. And he said they were not holding up well when dismantled, and he did not recommend that we do it. So we pulled the plug on that, and instead Joanne and I brainstormed with her. One of her staff people is a great contractor, and he said that he can repair the sea moorage for less than $5,000 and keep it in good shape for the next 2 years while we figure out, what else we can do. So they're gonna go ahead and do it, and they're gonna do it on their dime, the concession. So, that's really good news. And so right now they've had everybody take their boats out so that he can get that work done.
Excellent.
Before we put them back in.
Right.
And, I did call, the RCO too, to see, because, part of the problem with funding on that replacement is they don't fund, they only fund transient moorage, not permanent moorage, which doing it annually is considered permanent. But I contacted the RCO and talked to them about the amount of time that they consider transient. And then I talked to Joanne about the renters they have in the sea moorage, and we really think we can make that funding work. She said that moorage is more used for transit than it is for the year round.
Right.
They use A and B, VDOC in particular, for the year round. So we think that is we have the potential to be able to get funded from RCO for that. So I think that would be the plan, is to go after RCO funding for that and the walkways and the launch.
Right.
Because it all would all go together. Of course, there's match, and that's another thing we talked about, was that if we have to put in match, maybe part of it could be what we use our own money on could be permanent more, that part could be permanent, so. Of course, it's not gonna be Joanne, it's gonna be a new concessionaire when she can find somebody to buy it, but, we're still carrying forward with the planning in that regard. And then also the breakwater that was damaged by Tidewater, we had, Kimmel always used to fix things for us, and he's in retirement mode. But Walker Fab Lab down here on Main Street, he came out and looked at it and said he could repair it, no problem. So it's all being taken care of on the concessionaire's dime. And, just for people's knowledge, the marina concessionaire lease is similar to the railroad lease in that they are responsible for a lot of the maintenance. It's not all on the port, because they get the revenue from the campers. just like the rail operator gets the revenue from the shippers. So this is not an unusual arrangement to have the private sector help us maintain our public facility, which I know the RCO really likes that idea when we talk about it in our grants. They like it that there is private sector money helping to maintain, yeah.
Excellent.
Okay, so yeah, and then, yesterday, this is not here, but yesterday, Shane and I went out or Monday, we went out for Wally's memorial, Joanne's husband. That was really nicely done, and they had a big river run afterwards and spread some of his ashes in the river, so it was nice. And then the other amazing news is that somehow, after all the grants were approved, after the legislature, the RCO has found more money. And they have notified us that we are successful in our pull-through grant,
Wow.
1.3 million.
Wow,
Nice.
Yeah. So that was a big surprise.
that is a surprise.
Yeah, I had my first pre-grant meeting with the RCO today, and then we'll be working with Anderson Perry on setting some timelines. Gotta have some kind of an updated schedule turned in before we can get a grant agreement. We had talked about having it done by the end of 2026, but given that we were not on the list, thinking we were being funded, it's kind of like we're behind. So they said we have until the end of 2027 to get it done. So there's plenty of time. And they encouraged us to make a schedule that works for us, and we're not trying to push things. So that's what I'm working on now. And of course, we've got the match thing to figure out, but I've got a couple of ideas, including the concessionaire helping with match, because again, they're the ones who will have the revenue. And so I'm excited about that one, and gonna move forward with that.
Great deal.
Be a nice addition.
It will be. For any of you that don't know, these are pull-through RV sites for larger RVs with patios, and a new upland restroom. Operating as a KOA, you have to meet certain specifications. And because the marina is terraced, we did not have an opportunity to take any of our existing RV spaces and make them pull through. You just can't do it because of the hills. So this is a whole new set of RV spaces, 10 spaces, up the hill from the existing spaces, and it will be a great addition.
Great use of space, unused space.
Okay, anything else at Lansbury?
That's it.
A lot.
Yeah.
Good news. How about Blue Mountain Station?
We had a great recycling event last Saturday. We had one of our wineries in town bring 1,100 pounds of glass in, and then the community brought 750. So it was an $1,850 or pound day. They were pretty excited. The glass recycling company was. And then we're just continuing work on the malt facility. I think I had that. Oh, I don't think I left it open. I closed it. Anyway, we have 50%, what we consider 50% design drawings are done. The set is done. That doesn't mean construction drawings. That means design drawings, and they're continuing to be reviewed by the consultant we hired, the malting expert that we hired, and the equipment manufacturer. Now they're really honing in on how the equipment is going to work, where the grain is cleaned, where the grain comes in the building, how it's moved around in the most efficient way to do that, where the tanks will be placed. So that is underway right now, and we expect to have answers back and a final design set by September 5th. And so if that is the case, then we would start on the construction drawings. And so in the meantime, this is when Phil needs to complete, if he can, his fundraising. You know, his part of it's gonna be a loan, part of it's gonna be equity. So he's working on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
He needed these plans to be able to do that. And I think that's it there.
Okay. That brings us to the CWW Railroad. Is there anything you discuss other than the rail report with them?
I don't have anything else to discuss, no.
All right, then I guess we will get into that. First of all, thank you and staff for your hard work getting this put together for us and giving us a very thorough professional look here.
Yeah, that probably saved us $30,000 or $40,000.
Yeah, at least.
The This was available for the commission to pick up on Friday. I picked mine up on Monday morning.
You do.
So I assume that you've had plenty of time to get this memorized?
No.
Um, So I am not going to take the time to read these 31 pages. This is going to be a commission discussion on this. It is available, like we said earlier, it is available on the port's website. Feel free to look it up and study it. So you can see exactly what we're looking at. So I know I've had some time to read it through and make some notes and have some questions and whatnot. I'll let you go ahead and start with some comments and questions you have, Mike. You're here.
Well, again, just like you, thank you. Very well done.
Thank you.
The volume of material is unbelievable there. I haven't had a chance to go through all the supporting documents.
Right.
And
They're there if you need them, you know, you're not, I don't expect everybody to read every word.
so I wish we had a substantial offer on the table. No one in here would sell their house at a discount rate as that. And I've been contacted, a number of farmers have contacted me. Skip was one of them. Carlton's, some of, they're concerned that we're selling something they'll never get back. And not that they are able to use it extensively now, but the fear is that fuel is going to go up, and so trucking may become even more of an issue for them, and the cost of trucking wheat down to the Snake or the Columbia is a huge issue for them. After looking through all this and looking through the offer and looking at the email, the buyer is basically trying to hold us hostage, the only buyer that can make an offer, I guess. The current operator, it looks like extortion. He's saying he's going to quit operating if we don't sell to him. Well, there are other options out there, and I believe we've had other interested parties. I hate to just say, okay, let's sell it, and whatever we get for bid, and whether they operate it or tear it out of the ground. If the current operator purchases it for such a low amount, I would assume he would mortgage it, and that would not be good for us, because if he ever went bankrupt on it, we wouldn't be able to claw it back. The courts would have the whole say-so on, from what I understand, would have the whole say-so of how that money's paid out. I think if we don't have our current operator, I think there's opportunities out there. I've done some reaching out to other entities that provide railroad, and I believe there's other opportunities. I don't disagree with him. It would be a shame to have two operators on short line from here to Wallula. But if he's just gonna pull out, and he also has, I read his one email to the Union Bulletin, he's kind of threatening us that he'll go to the, and I can't remember the name of the board,
Surface Transportation Board.
Surface Transportation Board, and report us for not providing service. Well, that's not true. We're still offering a lease to him and we asked for a longer lease than he signed. And so it's him that's saying that he'll stop operating, not us. So I'm conflicted with this report. With the lease he's paying, I was pointed out right as I walked in here that it might take thousands of years for us to generate those kind of funds with the least amount of money that he's paying. So that doesn't necessarily make sense. We haven't earned a lot of money on the railroad to bank to plan for just plain maintenance, because we were trying to help the operator out make money on it so he could continue to maintain and operate the railroad. And it's kind of like, I feel like we're the hand that's being bitten that has fed him, and I don't like that, to be honest with you. I mean, there's all sorts of information in this that we can discuss in depth. I don't know that I'm really. I would like to see a commissioner workshop that it was just the commissioners, of course, at the end of the public. But that's the whole crux of the meeting, the workshop, before we even go to public comment, so we can at least know where each other stand. I don't know that during a regularly scheduled commissioner meeting that will get in depth enough, and the short period of time that the community and we've had to go through this.
Right.
That's my comments.
All right. Commissioner Watts, your turn.
All right. First of all, I want to say thank you to Jenny, her staff, Kim, putting it together. Yeah, it is comprehensive, and it was very valuable because and then the other part of the thank you is thank you for everybody that's online, everybody in the room having respectful conversations about it. That's how these things get solved and the conversations and people get heard. So I appreciate all of the dialogue and critical thinking from not only but everybody online, but everybody in the room. So I appreciate it. I share the same concerns. I'm a community member as myself, so I'm not isolated to not having those same concerns. And I look at it from a commissioner's point of view and a resident of point of view. So that's how I look at it. And I didn't look at this whole thing about whether or not it was we were going that we're going to sell the railroad and for how much. It was, to me, when we started talking about when someone said, hey, we like to buy the railroad. I like supporting private entities in their professional development and economic development and all those things. That's what we're trying to do. But it was a research thing for me. I didn't have enough information to even make a decision whether or not it was viable or not, or the right decision, right? And so a lot of the information that I received, and I read it twice, it was actually, it wasn't even daunting. It was actually interesting because there's a lot of information I did not going into it. And that's what I wanted from this report, to be able to make decisions based on information rather than gut or feelings type deal. So appreciate all of that. My gut feeling, I take a look at it. I think the decimal point's probably in the wrong spot, or it's missing a zero or something going on there. I'm not happy with that. I think it's a risk reward thing. And to me, I'm looking at the risk right now on the surface of what I'm looking at is far greater than the reward. So that's what I'm seeing. I agree, more dialogue, and this is a community thing. This is a hard one. It's not something that's, that we're talking about that is something that, nothing's minor, but you know what I'm talking about. It's not a minor deal. And the history, years and years, and not to mention just the years that it's already been there, but what it's going to look like when we're not sitting in the commissioner seats, or when we're not even sitting in the community anymore for future generations. So that is how big a decision this is, in my view, for this. So I'm looking at it. I just think there's a lot of risk. I too want it operational. That was what I stood with every single meeting. I said I want it operational. I did not sway one way or the other, whether it was private sector or publicly owned. I would like it operational. So whatever that means best for Dayton community. And I've always head to that, and I'm going to continue that direction. So that's what I'm looking at on this. Like I said, a lot of risk to sell, especially it's not even on the table with the numbers that I'm seeing there. And then even if it was numbers on the table, there's so much others discussions to be had to whether or not it's still true risk reward viable option for this community. There's risk for not selling too. You could have the operator pull out and nobody operate, and the weeds grow up over it and the maintenance kind of goes. We'll have to manage that, and we'll have to put contingencies in plan in that to make sure that that line, whatever it is, whether it's we have somebody operating it or we're looking for somebody to operate it, that it is viable source of that. I agree. I think that we shouldn't be looking to profit necessarily because the profit margin on that is so low. And to bring somebody in to make sure, and I like the current operator, what they're doing. They're providing the service. I think they've been pretty good to us as far as providing the service. $4,000 doesn't look like very much, but if nobody's operating it, you're not getting anything, and we're still having to maintain it. So I agree. To my opinion, is keeping the cost low as possible to bring in and make sure that an operator is a viable business for them, for their products, and for the farmers and everybody else that uses that, stakeholders. I've heard conversations about the stakeholders in this meeting, and not to mention meetings that are conversations that I had in the community, and it's pretty consistent across the board on this, and they viewed some of the same stuff that we have been talking about today and over the last several months. So that's where I'm at with it. That's what I saw out of it. Of course, there's lots of information there, but my initial thoughts are it seems like a huge risk at this point, more than a reward for our community.
I just want to echo what Johnny said. We have told the community we are going to have a community workshop. And I want to make sure we do follow through on that and schedule one, hopefully right after harvest. I suggested through an email to Jenny, to you guys, possibly October would be the best for our farm community.
Well, here's where I'm at. I don't agree with that timeline. This has been going on for over 40 months now, and this should have been dealt with sooner than it has been now. We had almost a year long delay just waiting for the appraisal because things happened, it's not anybody's fault and whatnot. But we're at the point now where it's been almost 4 years that we've been discussing this, and we're not any further than when we began. We've done a lot of work. We've had our comp plan workshops and this and that and the other, and it's getting down to time where we actually have to start acting and doing our jobs and doing what the community has elected us to do, and quit kicking the can down the road. So at some point in time, we're going to have to address this and deal with it and make a decision. We knew when we started this process, it was going to involve some extra work on our part, which is why we hired Mal Foster and Longy to help us rework the comp plan and did all those other workshops and went to extra meetings and put in the extra time. Well, now it's time that I think we probably need to do a little bit extra work again and have some extra meetings so that we can get this taken care of. Obviously, we can't do a workshop during a regular meeting, like you said, so that's just gonna make some more time for us. But I don't see a reason of kicking our workshop that is between the commissioners to make our decision. That doesn't need to be kicked off.
No, I agree with you there. I'm saying the open public meeting.
The open public meeting.
Do you
That's what we've
mean
discussed.
to take in comments?
Right.
Right.
That's what you're talking
Yeah,
about,
I'm
right?
talking about the
Okay.
community, have a larger venue where we can have a.
Oh,
community
that's what we would end up deciding at our
Workshop.
workshop,
Whether we
is
need
when that's going to be,
Okay.
by law, we have to give 10 days notice and a maximum of 25, if I read correctly. So, we can't like put that meeting off a month out.
Right.
So it's gotta be taken care of fairly soon, so we don't wanna say, okay, we're gonna have a meeting in October.
Right.
That's too far out. So, if you guys are of the mindset that we need to sit down and have a workshop, I think we should probably do it in a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks from tonight, if there's availability. And we can sit down, there will be no public comment, it'll just be commissioner workshop, and we come in here and we hash this out, we go through all of our notes, it'll give you guys a little bit more time, me a little bit more time also to mark up our copies and highlight things, I've got a lot of different questions and concerns and issues, and I agree with both of you that the dollar amount that he has stated that he is going to pay just doesn't line up with where we need to be. I also don't like the idea that if he's not able to buy it, that he's not going to operate any longer. I don't see that as a threat or as extortion. I see that as a necessary business decision on his part that we just may not like, but that's the way it is and that's his rights. It's a business owner.
Sure.
He stated in here that it's just not really worth his time and energy to deal with all the politics and all the fielding, all the public stuff that he's got to put up with. And it just really is becoming less and less appealing to him. I understand that. So I don't see it as extortion or threatening to say that, you know, well, I'm just gonna leave if you're not gonna sell it to me for dirt, you know, that's just a business decision he has to make on his part to decide whether or not it's viable. As far as the Surface Transportation Board goes, it's not him that would be putting the charges against us, it's the shippers. He's the carrier. The shippers are the ones, so Seneca, the grain growers, those are the people that would be able to file a complaint. He can't threaten us with anything. It's not a threat from him. I don't see it as a threat at all. He's just stating the facts of what potentially could happen if we mothball the railroad and say, okay, it's just not, we don't have anybody to operate, we're just gonna shut it down. You know, there is the potential that the shippers could, you know, try to get us to keep it open. And regardless of whether they're successful or not, it's still gonna be costly to us both politically and financially because we gotta pay an attorney to deal with this. So, you know, it's not really a threat, it's a statement of facts, and it puts us in between a rock and a hard spot, and I don't like being there. I don't like being between a rock and a hard spot and feel like I have to sell this, or all of a sudden our customers that have been served for years aren't going to have anybody to service them. I don't think there's going to be a very large market for finding somebody else to rent this line when they can only rent it from here to Walla Walla, have to switch cars from Walla Walla to Wallula, switch cars again from there to UP. It's just not gonna be very appealing for 100 to 150, 200 cars a year. You know, it's just, the appeal of segmenting that short line even shorter that's really hard to swallow, and it's going to be very difficult, I believe, to find somebody that's willing to take that on. I do think there is opportunity that other people would be interested in a competitive bid or a sealed bid process for it. And I'm quite certain that if we were to do that and have other parties interested, that the bid would come in higher than.
Well, we could set a minimum
Right.
price.
Well, we would have to, that's required. You know, we have to set our minimum price, and if no bids came in high enough, then that's that, you know, it's over. But I think it's time that we get this ball rolling and get some stuff done on it, you know, get this workshop done, set our public meeting, listen to the public. We've been listening to them all along, and I definitely want to hear what everybody has to say, and I don't want to stifle that in any way. But there comes a time that we really have to get some things done and do what we've been elected to do. And putting this off longer isn't going to help, because this lease expires in December. And I kind of have that as a arbitrary deadline in my mind, because that's the point where we don't have anybody operating that line anymore, and we have customers that are not being served. So that's kind of where I'm at, trying to, you know, I highly doubt that we'd actually have the financials done, but the decisions could be made and the ball could be rolling by that time that he would have an idea of what's going to happen and could continue service if it was decided to sell, or we could start making a plan of what we're going to do, start looking for somebody else. So I would get this in, keep this process going, set up our workshop here for a couple of weeks and decide at that time when we need to have our public hearing. Announce that, do it and get it done, whichever way it ends up going. You know, I can't feel good about selling this asset for those dollar figures, but I don't feel good about letting these customers go underserved and having that asset essentially non-operational and not having anybody else operate. You know, it's so important for the community to keep that going. Well, it's about to not be going anymore, and we got to figure out what we're going to do about that one way or another. So, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on my idea of a timeline, but that's kind of where I'm at on it. I'd like to get this workshop going and get our public hearing scheduled and see how things go.
I'm not against that. I just want to make sure we have the public hearing and that we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen to the community's input.
Yes, we absolutely will have a public hearing. It's required by law. We have to do that. Commissioner Watts, are you available 2 weeks from now for a workshop?
Let's see. I'm looking. I may have to respond to you in the morning after I look at a couple different calendars and stuff. I agree. We need to sit down and have a conversation about the information and digest it and have some conversations with the commissioners to see the viability of the next step. Right.
Right.
For sure. So and it needs to happen probably here pretty soon while it's fresh. Got the information. So let's see, you say 2 weeks from today?
I'm flexible, that could be shifted any which way that works for everybody.
Yeah, hang on a second. So what's the
I
date?
don't know if it matters, but I am not available 2 weeks from today. It's the Walla Walla Fair concert.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
she did point out as well, Fair Week.
And I probably need a date, like I'll throw out a couple
Well-
of dates here.
what about next week,
Next week.
the 20th?
20th, no, but
19th?
Tuesday, the 19th. Yeah, I believe
No, okay, Kim's a no.
I believe so.
You need me. We don't need it.
I would,
Yeah, we're probably gonna have some leading questions.
Right. You available any day, what day are you available, Kim?
I,
Can we take a look at this and chew on it and then send it through Jenny and say, hey, here's a couple date options over the next couple of weeks that people are available and pick it that way?
Would that be better for you, Kim?
it would be, thank you.
That's fine.
That way we're not like on the spot going, oh, I think so. No, let's have a couple dates and then kick it to everybody and say, hey, let's pick one here that would work, date and time and location.
That sounds great. We'll do that and we'll
Okay.
get that scheduled and announced and advertised and all that. Okay, well,
can I just say just a couple things?
Yeah.
There's good points of clarification is all. I want to do it while it's fresh. Commissioner Watts said that if we weren't getting the $4,000 a year in rent, we wouldn't get anything. I just wanted to clarify that we do get lease revenue from the right of way. Right now, that goes to the rail operator, but if he is no longer operating or leasing, then that money comes to us.
Oh, yeah, very good. Yep, very
Yeah,
good
just,
point.
it's not a lot, but there is some. I just want to make sure I clarified that.
We paid part of that.
Yeah.
I know,
And-
Yeah, good point. Good point. Thank you.
Yes, you do.
I know we do.
so then the management of that would go back to us then.
Yes, yeah, which we used to manage it, so not new.
Right.
And then, I wanted to make sure that, I think you know this, that we have had people, contact us interested in buying / operating the line. Now, I don't know, if they haven't been vetted,
Mhm.
but it's, we won't know if there's anybody else unless we ask, so. I
Right.
just want to make sure everybody knew that we have been approached by at least 2 parties. that-
Well, and one of my questions that was relating to that is, are they interested in operating it or are they interested in just a competitive bid process to purchase?
Yeah, one, I only know they were interested in buying, the other one was interested in operating, yeah.
Right.
So just wanting to make sure everybody knows that there is, everything he said is correct, that it's challenging, but there may be possibilities. And I know, the last thing I wanted to say is that Watco shut this line down in 2014, unbeknownst to me, did not tell us. And so it did go with no operator for 3 years. And so Seneca transloaded their products out of Tri-Cities. They just had to truck it to BNSF in Tri-Cities. I don't know what the grain growers did. Probably didn't affect you.
When was that?
Well, actually, I think Watco was still operating in Prescott. They
Walker
were.
was still operating
It
Prescott.
was just this section that
This
they
section.
embargoed, yeah, so,
Still going on Prescott, but then they pulled out because they didn't want to deal with the shortest line.
Yeah.
The lesser revenue, UP and stuff like that.
so
They
just
still do operate in the state of Washington.
wanted to clarify that before we moved on, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have anything else that you would like to add or discuss regarding this rail report tonight?
Other than, I do think there's some progress there. I do think there's a lot of work that's been put into it. I do think we're in a better spot today to actually get to a conversation to make a decision. So I just want to acknowledge that. And yeah, it's taken a while to get there for whatever reasons. But I think we're in a better spot to have those conversations because without the information is power. And without information, you got nothing to be able to make a decision on. So I appreciate the efforts that have been put into it here recently to get this going. So appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to broadband.
More good news. I went to Curb and we were awarded $2,018,192 to take fiber to the home in Starbuck and extend a fiber line from North Tushy Road up to Thorn Towers on Pearl Hollow. So that is great news, for emergency management and public safety communications and the little town of Starbuck. So I'm working on pre-contract documents. I've signed the initial offer of financial aid, and that one has to be done by the end of 2026. So we will be moving quickly on that. So yeah, it was a red letter month for grants. 3.3 million this month.
Wow, it's going, geez. Getting some of our tax dollars.
Getting some of our tax dollars back, you betcha.
Good chunk for $5.
Good chunk, yeah. Yep, that's all I have on broadband. Otherwise, everything's going great.
All right. Moving on to community and economic development, beginning with staff reports.
Okay, well, I attended the economic development seminar, executive director seminar last month. And that was very interesting. Probably the biggest takeaway from that for me was about AI. And very much recommending that ports do AI training for particularly staff. And that we have an AI policy. And at first I wasn't sure why that would be concerning, but what I figured out is that it depends on what you put into it. You know, you have to be careful what you put into the chatbot, because once you do, it belongs to the world.
Right.
So the policy would be governing staff, what they put in to a chatbot, because the ports are they're using it, especially the bigger ports, you know, they're really figuring out how to use AI to streamline some of their repetitive processes, but you've got to be careful not to put personnel information in and things that should not be out there. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, and we'll work on that for our next policy review. When we do those in January, we'll probably have hopefully one of the other ports will do an AI policy, so I can just, I can
Just talking about
use it.
that at the last mission meeting.
Yeah.
Somewhere I went to.
Well, it can be helpful, and the other thing they said was that no matter how you use it, you always keep the human element in it. You know, you just have to check. You have to check what's happening. You have to check what the output is, and that it's correct, and you just have to have a human element. So they did have also talk about, like Microsoft has a bot called Copilot, and that some of them are safer than others, you know. So a lot of the ports are putting in their policies that the only one their staff can use is Copilot or whatever. So yeah, it was interesting. Let's see, Curb is also proposing a new rural program, which would be for the very smallest counties, which we are. And so I attended a meeting and gave input on what kinds of things we could use money for that they don't currently fund. And I did talk about marina infrastructure as being a big one. And that, you know, coming up with match can be really challenging, and that maybe they could, for some of the smallest ports, they could do away with the match requirement for some of those things. So that was basically my input. We did have a meeting with Jake Ball, not to be mixed up with my husband, Jay Ball, who is the new manager at Seneca. So that was fun. I didn't know he worked there for years. And then Shane and I went up there and met with him, and it was very interesting. He worked at Smith Frozen Foods before here, and he's worked here for about 8 years. So I just didn't know him. Yep. And then we helped with the depot auction. It was a great success. I'm on the board, so I helped a lot, but then Shane helped at the event, and Tracy was there. It was very, very nice community event. Just one of the many things we do to keep things rolling. And that's all I've got. I'll let Shane talk.
All right, thank you, commissioners. I continue to work with Project Clean Slate. They are in the building purchase portion of their project and financing. And it's looking very, very positive. So they're doing some form filling out and getting all their financing in line. So that'll take a Albatross building downtown and turn it around for a retail space. So it'll be pretty exciting when we can announce what it is. One thing that we did do that we forgot to talk about was we did fill out our ADO documents and submitted them to the Department of Commerce. We still do not know what our allocation is from Department of Commerce because there's been some back and forth and lots of discussion how the legislature funded ADOs. So Jenny has been working a lot on the legislative side and the lobbying side of that. But those documents aren't turned in, and we have a meeting next week to kind of see where we land. Hopefully it's not as bad as we think it is, but we aren't holding our breath. One item that got, we did do food stop back in July out of Blue Mountain Station, and it was a nice, warm, windy day. We had a nice crowd, so that was done. I do want to give Tracy a huge shout out because she organized most of that and kept us going.
She's a good organizer.
Snapped the whip and we got her done and put away and on to the next, which is Fall Family Festival on September 27th. So put that on your calendars. I attended the Inland Northwest Partners summer meeting. It's a trade organization. It's basically Washington and parts of northern Idaho. We all get together once a quarter. This time it was in Malden. If you remember, Malden is the town that burnt down completely to the ground. And how they're trying to rebuild and the problems they're having. They're having problems with development services and, you know, this, that, and the other, but they have been relying a lot on grants. Vista has helped them out tremendously, try to recover. We met in their community center, town hall, food bank, and library. It's all in one building at this point. So it was a good time. We have lent support to a small group of business owners that have created a new, like a 3-part series. It's called Summer Jam. You may have seen it on Facebook. They basically took over what we call the hotel hardware block, and they had all kinds of events and festivities and kids games. And so we lent them backbone support with marketing. I believe I included you all on some of the emails so you can see what was going on. They're so excited to get going again. They're talking about doing August nights, so we'll see where that lands. Additionally, I've been helping with Shakira Bai. She's putting on a event in October called Artist in Harmony. And so she'll be taking over the fairgrounds, basically health and wellness, homesteading, some light mechanics, so kind of just a big teaching event. More details will come out on that. We did do a ribbon cutting for the Scotsman. If you haven't been there, I would encourage you the next time you can go see it. It's amazing what has happened inside the old Christian church. Garrett and Kelly have invested about $1 million in that building to turn it around, and it is amazing. And huge kudos to them for what they've done. And they kept most of the architecture, the original architecture in place. So it's amazing to go see. I helped at the evening of the depot, and that was fun. Probably the highlight for me right now is I'm working on the Sesquicentennial event, which is on the wall behind our chair. And another event is October 4th. It's our big, what we call our legacy event. We'll have proclamations, we'll have a big community lunch we're working on, ice cream social, we'll start walking tours. And at the end of the day, we'll unveil a brand new mural that'll be in downtown Walla Walla. Or, excuse me. Dayton. I don't know where I came from. But also upcoming, for anyone that's interested, WSU Food Sciences is going to be hosting a Citified food class at the youth building. We have it on our calendar, I believe. If not, we'll get it there. And then next week I'll be attending the Northwest Economic Development Training course, which we also got granted full scholarship to. So I will be there all week, and I'll come back a lot smarter. And I'm looking forward to that. And then one thing, Jenny, we did attend Wally's Memorial out at the marina, and on the way back, we stopped in Starbucks for lunch. And I would encourage you all to stop in Starbucks for lunch at the Starbucks Country Store. We probably had one of the best burgers and fries we've ever had. in a long time. Not knocking our downtown businesses, but it was good. So I would encourage you to take a trek out to Starbucks. They are part of who we are, and so we're gonna lend them support as well. So other than that, I think that's all I have. And if you have any questions,
I
I'm
just
just saying that-
wanted to comment about food stock. I did get to attend and had to park 5 miles away. It was so well attended that I was
Sure was.
amazed that.
I was afraid the wind would keep everybody away, but they came. Yeah, it's great. We were all worried it was gonna be 110. Instead, it was just 110-mile-an-hour wind.
Okay, anything to report on housing?
No, there's just a lot of houses for sale, still.
Aid Development Task Force, Mr. Spring. I forgot my note.
I have it.
Good.
The Main Street Conference, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
The Main Street
chamber.
Conference was held here, yeah.
And I didn't get to attend it, but I heard it was very well attended from outside communities that came to look at our Main Street and what we're doing, and they had a conversation about Main Street. I know some other people were there, but I didn't get to attend it, but it sounded like it, and it brought business to our community also.
Yeah, they stayed for several days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 35 Main Street professionals. That was cool. And then the other main thing we talked about was the Lewis and Clark campsite, you know.
We're trying to strike up a work group to make sure that gets maintained. If you stop out there on the paddock and look at it, there's quite a bit of weeds and grass right in front of the fencing that kind of obscures your view. And so
And graffiti on
and
the,
graffiti
on the,
Again,
yeah, on the
on the rear
boards, the
thing.
boards. Yeah, I think they need to be replaced anyway. They are aging. They're aging. Yeah, they're starting to get unreadable.
I know Shane had more insight on the reader boards and some of the maintenance, and
Yeah.
appreciated his input. I missed the meeting out at the site by a week. I had it on my calendar, but the wrong week.
Yeah, otherwise, I think there wasn't anything talking about trying to put up a directional sign that points to the campground. Still trying to figure out how to repaint the Main Street lamp posts. They're really need paint bad.
we do.
Yeah, last time they were done, the chamber did it, and I think I was the chamber director, if that tells you how long ago that was. Norm Passmore, Terry Neely painted them. I think that was the highlights.
Yeah.
All right,
Unless you have questions.
none here. Okay, that brings us to executive session for RCW 42.30.110 subsection I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions.
Chairman Brian, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
I was gonna suggest that there would be no official action taken after the executive session.
Okay,
So if you want to do your public comment, then we can have the executive session. We'll come back into open public meeting, but there won't be any action after that. So then we can adjourn.
So people
Just for
wouldn't
the
have to wait around.
absolutely. So we'll just skip that for the moment and go right to final public comment. Please limit 1 minute per person. And same rules as before. Go ahead.
Jacob Forsman again, I didn't say my address, 1912 Toucan Road. One thing that I think the commissioner should consider as well, after their workshop and potentially before public comments, is actually sitting down with the stakeholders and talking with the stakeholders, having a discussion back and forth. I know we've come to the meetings before, all the stakeholders have, but actually having that conversation with the public still on the side, but having a small, not I would call workshop, but having a conversation back and forth with the main stakeholders on their full views or questions about the rail report and everything would be a good thing. Northwest Grain Growers, Seneca, and any other stakeholders that are on the line, or potentially could be on the line. But the biggest ones are Northwest Grain Growers and Seneca at the moment. So I think that'd be a good thing to get their kind of view on that and to address the comments of the board. If we were to, the railroad was sold or wasn't operational, if we were to turn them into the board or if we weren't. Because things do change as far as business goes at Prescott or business goes for Seneca too. It may not be the end of the world for Seneca, may not be the end of the world for us. It just depends on that, but having that conversation, I think, would be beneficial to the board, to the commissioners with the stakeholders, being able to talk back and forth in an open meeting. And questions be answered back and forth, I guess. So I'd encourage the commissioners to think about that, and it can be done sooner than later. Harvest is gonna wind down pretty quickly here by the end of August and middle of September, so it could be done fairly quickly in September for public comment in say an October meeting. So I'd encourage commissioners to look at that.
Thank you. Thank you. The other public, go ahead.
Laura Ackerman, 300 South First Street. Shane, you mentioned a project coming up, and I thought you said a building downtown and a business coming in. When do you think you might be able to release that information?
That is at the, I'm at the mercy of the project owner. So
Do you have like a tentative where the project thinks, or, you know,
they were in
fall, winter, next month?
all the above.
Yeah,
Yeah, there is financing.
got it,
So I know there's a land swap involved. So, you know, some of that paperwork was involved.
got it.
But
It's
I
just
know they-
exciting. It's
I
exciting,
have
and
been to the
so
bank.
you mentioned it,
Yep.
and now,
I have actually met with the banker, so it
excellent,
is moving forward quickly.
great,
So.
thanks.
Go ahead.
My name is Douglas Spinn. I am a city councilman in Prescott. And I have a special report that I prepared for the city of Prescott and also for the regional municipal planning organization about the amount of rain and traffic there is through that facility. So with your permission, I'll give you that. I think I made enough copies for everyone. Just a couple of things. One is the total capacity of the site there is 5 million bushels. This past, in 2024, 10 million bushel per process both in and out of the facility. And the total traffic to date is 4,252,862 bushels, and harvest is not open. So from the Prescott perspective, we're interested in the viability of the railroad. Because the railroad doesn't stop at the county line. And but we also appreciate the effort that the manager has been doing with replacing the ties. I mean, we're seeing that a little as well, so that's encouraging. I did receive a call from Mr. Stewart, I believe was a staff person there. And he said that they got this past year, and Jenny could correct me if this is wrong, $600,000 for doing something. And one of the things they were doing is going to be working on a crossing over near Prescott. But I didn't hear of any.
The only one that I know of is actually the port it's the port grant, and it's 1.6 million to replace the highway crossing on 124 at Bulls Junction. Yeah,
Okay.
and the
All right.
signals and all that stuff.
So that was a personal question that I had is who submits the grants, and apparently it's
It's both, but there are more grants available to public agencies than there are private.
I did see that section in there,
There's a whole
a
section.
whole section in this report on grants and who gets them and what's available. So
let's don't want to take more of my time.
Yeah, your 1 minute is up.
thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you.
It's also on the port's website, so you can look at all of the supporting documents.
Go ahead.
Jim Kahn, 101 East Richmond Street. I would think that, given the situation that if the same urgency should be utilized towards finding a new leasee for the railroad, since this fellow has already announced that he's not willing to continue. We should put a high urgency on finding out who is interested in leasing that railroad and the particulars surrounding it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom with public comment?
Yes, I do. Commissioner Bryan, this is Scott Hudson, Dayton, Washington.
Yes.
So the port rail line is an irreplaceable asset. And I don't believe the port should even be thinking about selling the railroad. This shouldn't come as a surprise to you as to what the current operator has offered. He mentioned that in a meeting with the appraisers and said it wasn't worth $1 million. I think we have wasted a lot of taxpayer dollars and a lot of time in pursuing this sale that shouldn't even be looked at. Our time should be spent discussing what operator we need to find for the line and actively looking for an operator and finding funding and ways to improve the line and to make it more operational for higher speed that would then give us more commerce opportunities, which is that's what our job is to do. So I'm just kind of surprised that we're even continuing on in any kind of a workshop. Any workshop that I would say that we would have should be spent on looking for what we want in an operator and what we need to look for in funding. Thank you.
Thanks for your input, Scott. Anybody else on Zoom? Okay, we will close the public comment period and we will go into our executive session. Thank you all. There will not be any action taken afterwards.
So we need to give an estimate for the time. We're going into an executive session for the purpose of discussing potential legal conflict. Let me move out of the way so people can actually walk. The time right now is 6:17 p.m. I anticipate this taking 30 minutes. So we will come back into an open meeting in 30 minutes. If we need to, we'll extend it and announce it. But there will be no action taken following the executive session.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's fresh in my mind.
Okay.
Or you can talk to me tomorrow.
Wait, if you want, or you can come and talk to me about it. I'll be here.
Okay.
Hey, those of you online, if you plan to stick around, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure we can get more copy of that.
Yeah,
we can.
We can.
Yep, absolutely. We can make more, yep.
We can get you a copy here.
Right now.
Why don't you go make, yeah, Tracy will go make copies.
Tracy.
Closing you guys in.
All right.
Thank you.
Just don't lock us in.
Okay, I am still putting people in the waiting room, so.
Let me know when our recording's off.
Okay, it says everybody's in the waiting room. I hope that's real. Where's my recording? There it is.
All right, the time is 6:39 p.m. Still August 13, 2025. The executive session has been completed. There is no action to be taken following the executive session.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.
Okay, with that being said, it's 6:39 and we'll call this meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you, Johnny.
Johnny.